everybody. I'm Sandy Duncan, intuitive medium and host of Behind the Scenes with the Rescue Mediums. For anyone unfamiliar, Rescue Mediums was a hit TV series that was filmed from 2006 to 2011 and can still be seen in many countries around the world and on YouTube and on veryparanormal.com. Mediums would visit people's homes that were disturbed by spirits and rescue them into the light. Today we're joined with 4 people that made this groundbreaking series possible. Please help me welcome Edna, Dargie, Director of Research, Michael Lamport, producer, writer, narrator, Jackie Dennison, rescue medium, international clairvoyant medium and psychic artist, and Alison Wynne-Ryder, rescue medium, international quirky medium, and author of the 2012 book, The Quirky Medium, The Extraordinary Life of an Unlikely Clairvoyant. Welcome, everybody.
Hi, Sandy.
Hi, Sandy.
Hi.
Hey, guess what? This is our 10th one. Hey!
Wow. Hey, that's great.
Yeah, we made it to 10.
That's great.
How time flies, eh?
The way we're going right now, if we make it, which we will, but by the time we make it to 12 of the lockdown here in Toronto, my hair will be down to here. So
we can start calling you Michaela then.
You'll be able to put it in a ponytail.
A little fun.
Yeah,
A little
I like
fun.
that.
Yeah.
And then I'll buy a motorcycle.
That's great. You know, I was thinking, if it's okay with everyone before we get started, Alison, I wanted to ask you, because it's come up with me this week, a friend asked me about the title of your book. And, hang on. The title of your book. So, the Quirky Medium, The Extraordinary Life of an Unlikely Clairvoyant. The unlikely part, could you help us understand?
Yeah, the unlikely part, because I'd always been scared of ghosts. So when I was little, I know, obviously as I grew up, I knew then that that's what I could hear, see, feel and sense. But I thought that everybody would hear the same and sense, you know, other people around them, even though they couldn't see them, but obviously learned very quickly that they couldn't. And I had nobody to go to talk. You know, I couldn't go to my parents or anyone. And when I grew up, all the activity around me started getting stronger and stronger. And it put the fear of God up me, literally. So I was trying to push it away. But of course, you know, if spirit wants you to do something, then they'll pursue it and they'll keep repeating things. And it was when my husband was on nights, I was in bed, and I woke up at about 2 o'clock in the morning, and I thought, why have I woke up and realised that the bed that I was in was shaking with me in it. Oh. And I shouted out, that's it, go away, okay, I'll try and find, you know, I'll try and sort of pursue this. And that's when I saw the advert that Jackie had put in I think it was the Northwich Guardian, about a psychic circle, and the rest history. And I remember after week 1, I thought, I'm not going again, because I remember in the meditation, quite a lot of people saw loads of things. You know, they saw colours and they knew who the guides were and everything. And when I got home, I said to John, I'm not going again. And he said, try it. Anyway, my grandma, and she's the one that told me to write the book, obviously in spirit, she's in spirit. She came forward and said, you will go again. So obviously I carried on going and I thoroughly enjoyed it. And then the rest's history. But yeah, unlikely, because I was an unlikely clairvoyant. It wasn't something I chose to do or wanted to do. Like with a lot of things that have happened in my life, I was sort of literally pushed in at the deep end and just had to get on with it. But thank goodness I did.
Yeah, thank goodness for all of us that we did. Jackie, do you hear that a lot from people when they come to join your circle or come to Feathers, that they don't quite know why they're there, but they're compelled to go?
Yeah, some people know absolutely why they're there. You know, they've got a natural curiosity, or things have been happening to them, they don't know why. Other people, I've had people actually go past the door and then come back and just open the door and say, I really don't know why I'm here. I just feel it's almost as if somebody's got hold of me and is pushing me through the door. And so then we get talking about, you know, psychic experiences, and it's usually because they need to develop on a psychic level.
That's fantastic. It's so
That's my
incredible.
son just walking past, you know, we're at home, so, you know, this is lockdown. So,
Hello.
so he's hungry, so he's going to get something to eat. So I apologize.
Don't blame him.
Yeah, I don't blame him either. It's a good idea. Jackie, well, we've got you.
Yeah.
We always introduce you as a psychic artist as well as an international clairvoyant medium. I'm lucky enough to have one of your pieces of psychic art. I'd love to show everyone.
Oh, yes.
My spirit guide.
He's handsome, isn't he?
He's kind of like a hippie. I think it's fantastic. Yeah.
Isn't that brilliant?
Beautiful, beautiful piece of original artwork from Jackie. Could you
I like
tell us
his
a
hair.
little bit about that? Yeah. Lockdown. Yeah.
Lockdown hair. That's brilliant.
So when I was channeling that particular piece, I connect with the energy of the person that I'm doing the psychic art for. So in this case, Sandy, I had you in my mind's eye when I was doing that. And I always ask for a spirit guide to come forward. It's not always who you think it's going to be. Just letting Lewis walk past. It's not always who you think it's going to be. So in your mind, you have an image of like, oh, I think it's going to be a male energy, or I think it's going to be a female energy. And when I start working, I can start with the eyes, I can start with the nose, I can start with the hair. I never know what's going to develop on the paper. It just develops, and so thoughts come to me whilst I'm doing that, as I jot little things down, and then we do the channel's message that goes with it after it's finished.
Right.
In your case, when I was tuning into your energy, all I could see was the colour green. And so I started with the green colour in the background, and so that came before the face. So the energy came before the face. He's one of the healers, so that makes perfect sense why we've got that lovely green energy, which connects me to healing, but it also connects me to new growth. And so what's interesting is, since I've done that for you, we've started working on other projects. You and I have worked on projects, and we're working now behind the scenes on projects. So it's interesting that he should come along at that time, and I felt newness with that, and all of this is very, very new. So gorgeous energy, though, absolutely. You know, just talking about psychic art, if you were to see my table, I feel ashamed to turn the camera around so you can see my table here, but we're in the dining room, and of course it's the thoroughfare through to the kitchen. So I've got all of my reading material is all there. So all of I've got cards and things there, and on this side I've got all of my psychic art stuff, because I've permanently got an easel out, so I'll just reach across. Now this is one that it's only just started, this one.
Oh wow.
Sweet face.
Yeah. So this is for a client. So at the minute her fringe looks a bit sort of thin, because she's literally, as I'm working with her energy, I started with her neck, believe it or not, and I'm not going to say too much about it, because it's a personal, you know, it's for a client, but to me that connects with the throat chakra, and the fact that she's got a lot to say and she wants to talk about things. And then this lovely gentle energy came from her, and she's just got her head on one side as if to say, yeah, I've got some things to say to you. So I'm looking forward to when she's finished and she's going to give me the message. I do know her name, she's already told me her name, but they don't always do that. They don't always say what their names are. So it's interesting how I work in a different way each time. Depends who I'm working with in spirit, really.
It's fantastic. I mean, this is life-changing for me. And not only, as you said, then there's this huge channeled message that goes through, and I'm very grateful. So I just wanted to chat about that for a minute. Okay.
You're very, very welcome.
Thank you, thank you. Okay, so back to business, I guess. Viewer question, Sandy, not me. My question is, have you ever had a stubborn spirit who didn't want to connect with you, and it was like pulling teeth to get them to connect, or you had to pack up and say, we move on, no response today?
On rescue mediums, we have to work through it.
Yeah.
We have to, no matter how long it takes, because we've got to deal with the situation. We can't go back. You know, there's a film crew there that are all being paid. You can't say, oh, you know, can we bring them all back tomorrow? There's homeowners who have taken time out from work to make the place available. So we've been lucky in that respect that we have been able to follow things through. However, we have had some really difficult ones, which it is like pulling teeth, trying to get them to go through. And you do have to, we're a bit like spirit counsellors, aren't we, Alison? You know, you've got to negotiate with them on quite a lot of levels to be able to find out why they're being so stubborn, really. And then when you find out why they're being so stubborn, that's when the negotiations can start. But with regard to not being able to do anything, there was an occasion that it sticks out in my mind. This is with Christine. This is a private one that we did where we went to a church, and we were asked to go because of this unpleasantness in this particular building, part of the church. And it was with a lot of apprehension that we went into the building, and a feeling of being forced, literally forced out of the building. And we tried to negotiate, and there was nothing that either of us could do. And we really did try, because I don't like being beaten, and neither does Christine. I'm sure Alison doesn't like being beaten either. Yeah. So it's a case of there's got to be a way around this somewhere. We can't just leave it like that. So because we've got such a fantastic team that we work with in Spirit, we just had to hand it over to them and say, look, we're going to seal the place so nothing can come out, so nobody can come out with an attachment to them because they're trying to escape. Because we've had that before, Alison, haven't we, on a show where the spirit has literally come out of the house and gone into the next door because, you know, they wanted to escape us while we're there. So that's what we did. We cordoned it all off. Now we called in the spirit team in and said, you've got to have some healing energies here at work to help out in this situation. So that's how we handled it. But we've had some really stubborn ones, haven't we, Ali?
There's been many stubborn ones, and I'd say probably more stubborn ones than not. So it has, with many, been like pulling teeth, but we stick to it. And like Jackie said, you know, that we do have to negotiate. You know, we do have to find out as much information about them as we can, and then we use that information to try and you know, guide them towards us and then towards the light. But no, not on the show. We've never not had a spirit that wouldn't go to the light. We've always done what we were there to do, thankfully.
Yeah.
Because of course it's not about us, it's about the homeowners. And, you know, some of the homeowners were experiencing really, really strong unexplained activity. And, you know, we do everything that we can, not just us, obviously, Michael, Gregory, our director, Edna, the whole crew, everybody's sort of rooting for the homeowners in that Jackie and I do our job and send them to the light, which is where they need to go. It's where they need to be. Good question.
It is a good question, and it makes you think about it, because we have, just thinking about it now, we've had some that don't need to go to the light though as well, haven't we? They just have a story to tell, and they I just want to help, maybe with somebody on the earth plane. And one of the ones that comes to mind with me is not one that you and I did together, Alison.
No, that's what I was thinking, because I think every single one we did, didn't we? You and I, we sent every one, didn't we?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure we did. But there was one in Kingston, I think. That we just had to say, I think it was, I could have got this wrong. We've done so many different shows, just can't think off the top of my head. But this gorgeous lady in spirit, and she didn't want to go, and she didn't need to go because she wasn't trapped. She just liked being there. She liked the house. She liked the owners of the. It was a guest house. She liked them. She liked being there. So we had to sort of negotiate and say, well, yeah, okay, you can stay, but you know, don't frighten the guests away. Please don't frighten the guests away. You know, just be very discreet.
Yeah, I think that was the secret garden.
That's right, the secret garden. Yes, you're right.
Yeah. You know what? As you're talking about this, Jackie,
yeah.
And Alison, what strikes me, and it's always struck me, and I can't do anything about it, even as a producer, but I wonder if on the spirit side, there would be a show like Rescue Mediums, but from their point of view. Because I think that would be fascinating.
That'd be amazing, wouldn't it? It's sort of like a mirror effect.
Yeah, it'd be very scary, but it would be amazing, yeah.
It would, yeah.
And then Edna would have to do all the research.
Yes.
To somebody in the spirit land.
Doris! Doris is in spirit.
Yeah, Doris.
Doris is researching Edna. That's how it would work. That's funny. Well, I was going to ask Michael and Edna the frustration, or if the spirit was digging its heels in, and before Alison and Jackie could negotiate, could the crew feel that? Could you all feel that if it was going to take a bit of extra work or extra push?
Oh, Edna, over to you.
Yeah, I think we were very aware of what's happening. And I think to a degree we're linking in with what's going on as well. I know I have a visual of exactly what I think is happening as it's happening. So yes, I think we are very aware. And I'm just grateful that both of you were able to get as much research information at the same time, as well as helping them to go through to the light. So it was almost too, well, first of all, you want to get them through the light and move them on, but also to get as much of their story as possible. And I always appreciated that. If anything, it was problematic if there was a spirit that was in a rush to go, okay, this is it, there's the door, I'm off, I'm going, I'm leaving, and we didn't have enough of the story there. So that was the opposite effect of trying to hold them. No, just wait a little bit longer. Yeah, you can go, but we need to know a little more.
Yeah, that happened.
Yeah, that's very true. Sorry, Jackie.
Yeah, go on.
What Edna says is very, very true. When I'm out there filming with Jackie and Alison, I do feel things, but also my main focus is on the two cameras and sound and making sure that everything is going to translate correctly. So I don't let my guard down entirely to go and do that. But one thing I just want to say before we continue with this is about the show Rescue Mediums, is that unlike other paranormal shows, I believe this is the only show that actually helps spirit get into the light and has a conclusion. And so Jackie and Alison make sure that it's almost like get the job done. and I don't know of any other shows I've watched that they're just sort of ooh boo scare. And we have scary moments, of course, but the main objective is to help the spirit, and then on top of that, we help the homeowner.
Yeah.
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 I mean, from my perspective as a fan and a viewer for a long time, your moments were more scarier because they were real.
Yeah.
And they, like, we could see in someone's living room, it wasn't, you know, sort of black light and shadows. Not that that's a bad thing, but we could really see what you were doing and hear what you were doing.
Yeah, we've
made
never made it fit. We've never ever made anything fit.
No, never.
Or, well, we've never, you know, if we're seeing something, I don't know, if we're seeing an elephant in the corner of the room, we're seeing an elephant in the corner of the room, we'll say, you know. But if we're not seeing anything, then we won't say, oh, there's something there. And we won't make a story fit either. We've never ever done that, and I think that's why it works. One of the episodes that comes to mind with that, just going on from what Edna was saying, about trying to get as much information as we can so that she can tie the research in, because that's such an important part of the show, is being able to say, look, this is what's happened and this is the proof. Spirit have given this to us, and it's solid enough for Edna to go and find it out. So one of the shows that springs to mind is Rockside with Tamarishka and her family, and that was a shapeshifter. And so trying to describe a shapeshifter that moves really, it is literally a shape that moves really quickly, and it's energy that moves very, very quickly. So you can't say, oh, it comes from this time period. This is, this spirit is wearing this type of clothing, or has this particular hat, or is in this particular dimension, because you've got nothing to go from at all. And so what we had to do was to connect with the energy as to why it was shape-shifting, and then work when it was not as fast as normal, slowing it down to the calmness of the energy, and try and work with the calmness of the energy to unravel the story. And so it's stripping the layers away. And of course we went back to the farmer whose son had died in a terrible accident on the farm, and he blamed himself for that, and so that was his torment, but because of that we were able to piece the story together. But we did have to strip layers down. That was a long one, Alison, wasn't it?
It was a very long one. It was also a very scary one, and I think we mentioned this on one of our behind the scenes. That's the one where we got trapped in the car on a field on all the horses, and the field came out and we're running round, and the car door had just locked with us in it. So the shapeshifter didn't want that energy, didn't want us in the house. So it started off like really scary before we even got into the building, didn't it?
Yeah.
And that on that particular one, the homeowners were that frightened about what had been happening, because their daughter's personality had just changed beyond anything that they recognised. They'd fled the property, so they were just petrified that they'd actually moved away from the property. So, but that shapeshifter, that was a first for me, Jackie, that the shapeshifter. And to see, and I could, you know, see, obviously, with my third eye, it moving around so quickly. It ended up on the ceiling at one point and then slithered down the wall, and it was all over the place. And of course, on the show, just less than a half-hour show, looks like we did it like that. And I would say, agree with you, that was one of the longest, most complicated ones, certainly that I've done and helped with. But it was worth it, because it brought beautiful energy back into the home, and peace for the homeowners, didn't it?
Yeah, and they moved back in, which was lovely.
They did. They certainly did.
I think all of you are incredibly brave. I'm getting warm just listening to that story. Okay, moving on. People have written in with their favorite episodes. So here's a couple of favorite episode questions. Michelle, her favorite episode is Halifax, the one with helping the little girl from the explosion to move on. She, I don't live far from Halifax, so it was very dear to me, she says. Makes me wonder how many more spirits are stuck and need help. Could you speak to the Halifax episode, Jackie?
Yeah, the Halifax, it was quite, some episodes stay with you because of the severity or the trauma. That was one in particular, and especially when you're dealing with spirit children. And that little girl that we helped over, we did try to send as much healing energy out as possible. So when we send the light out, and we always do this when we're working, you send the light out and anyone who needs help can come forward, and we, you know, at that point we will help them over if we can. So obviously, because the show is only you know, it's like, well, it's less than half an hour, there's only so much that can be packed into the episode. But we try as much as possible in those sorts of situations to do a cleanup while we're there. So we did help more over than the little girl, but it's not on the recording. And we will do it privately as well, off camera. And Alison and I both do that. We always do a little clean up when we'd finished, just to make sure that nobody else needs our help. And if the cameras aren't rolling, then that doesn't matter. Our job is to help spirit cross over, whatever the circumstances are.
Michael, did it seem often that you had enough footage from filming one episode to actually make it two?
Very, very frequently.
Yeah.
I mean, I think of Halifax because of the Halifax explosion, which I don't think Jackie had even heard of when she got to Halifax.
No.
And lots of lives were lost. I think that could have been at least 2 episodes. I think Churchill Mansion could have been 2 episodes. I can't think right now of the other ones, but yeah, I've often thought about that. But because at that time we were subject to the broadcaster's approval, and they didn't want to have anything split into 2 episodes. They just, because I approached them with it, and they just said, no, we don't want to do that. So, you know, our hands were sort of tied, as it were.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's many that could be more than 20. What is it? 23 minutes and 40 seconds or something. That's a half hour in TV land.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. The next one is from Sandra in Burlington. She lives in Burlington. Her favorite episode is Burlington. And for anyone that wants to watch Halifax, it's season 3, episode 31. And Burlington is season 5, episode 1. And it's called The Calm Before the Storm. Could you guys talk about that one?
Yeah, that was the one where it was the grandfather that was haunting the place. He didn't like all the music that the youngsters were playing. His grandson was having concerts and stuff, and he was really not happy about the music. And I remember you, Jackie, you were walking around going, oh, I'm so angry. And because obviously you were channeling him. I remember that. Yeah. But also, I mean, I've never felt like this before. And it's I was sort of picking up on the energy of what the music that he loved. And he obviously loved classical music. And I could hear the Blue Danube as clear as anything. And I said to Jackie, I feel like dancing. And she said, well, come on then. So we danced around the room. And I loved the show because they'd actually put the music to us dancing around the room. And it was just amazing. I really loved that one. That was like really unique.
It lifted the energy though, didn't it? You know, that laughter really lifted the energy. It was great fun dancing.
It was. Yeah, I really enjoyed that.
Thank you. The next one is from Carla. Petrolia is her favorite because she lives close to there and knows it very well. That is episode 2, A Ghostly Return, with the Grey Lady.
Oh, we've got lots of grey ladies.
Well, that one was in the home in a square in Petrolia,
Yeah.
And I know that area very well because there's a theater there, and I've acted there many, many times. I've actually stayed in that home. I felt sort of a bit freaky on the stairs when I was alone, but this was years ago. And that was the Grey Lady, apparently. So it's fascinating because Petrolia in Ontario has a huge, long history. It's one of the first places in the world that they discovered petroleum, although people debate that. They say it was in Pittsburgh or somewhere. But it's an incredible city, and with really old, beautiful homes, and you just drive by them and you know that there's more than just flesh and blood living there. There's some spirits probably in every home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Edna, if it's an older town, is it harder to do the research?
No. Whether it's new or old, it really doesn't matter. I suppose if it's older, it's easier to access the older records rather than a new house in a subdivision, which was perhaps part of a farm at one point in time. But I always go back to Crown with all of the properties. That is usually around 1800 in Ontario, when the land was first divided up into the large lots and parceled out.
Thank you. Next question is from Jessica, and I'm just going to read this one out. This ends up being an episode called A Sinking Feeling, Season 5, Episode 7, and here's what Jessica has written. There was one lady who was very sensitive. I know you met with a few more who were, and you helped her begin to focus her abilities. She seemed so happy to be able to begin heading down the same path as an ally to Spirit and to follow your examples. I don't remember her name, but she wore a baseball cap. I hope you were able to contact her after the show. She's so special.
Sherilyn, yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Gorgeous energy, absolutely gorgeous energy. And we were so pleased to be able to help her. And that episode is one of the few where we actually asked that one of the homeowners to join us in the rescue, didn't we, Ali?
Yeah, and she was amazing. She really was. Do you know what I remember? Do you know what makes me laugh though? When we said to her, "We need to have a chat with you," and she looked so serious, and she said, "Am I in trouble?"
She does.
Like, no. Bless her. Yeah, no, she was absolutely amazing. She did so well with that.
Yeah.
And she is very sensitive, very psychic, isn't she?
She is. Yeah.
Lovely young lady.
She's we have kept in touch. We do try and keep in touch with as many as we can, but we've kept in touch with Cher. In fact, she's such a wonderful healer. She's got such a good heart that I asked her to if she would run a healing page for me on social media, on Facebook. So she runs the Feathers healing page, Feathers Academy healing page there. So she's one of the administrators on the page, and she's always putting lots of positive things on there to help other people, because that's all she wants to do, is to help other people. So a gorgeous energy.
Yeah,
I think energy like that is so important. I mean, especially in these difficult times when everybody around the world, and I'm certain everybody that's watching this, and whether you live in the United States or not, you're watching things unfold that are just unbelievable. And so the only way to counter that, I believe, is by putting out healing energy and positive energy instead of the negative energy that we see happening.
Okay, this is episode 43, Ridgetown. This is from a lady called Jackie. The bar and the basement. She says, I actually cried when you got David to go to the light. I'm terribly sorry that he headbutted you.
Yes, I remember that one well.
Yeah. He scratched you as well, didn't he, Alison? Or
Yeah, on my
pinched you.
face.
On your
Yeah.
face, pinched you on your
Yeah.
face. He was really, he was a difficult one, wasn't he?
Very.
But he was very scared, really, and we had to get to why he was doing the things that he was doing. What was interesting was the actual building that he was in. At one time, it had been segregated with male and female. And we didn't know that. And I think he said to you, you need to get out. He said it a lot stronger than that, but we're going to be polite now. He told us to get out of the building or of that side of the room. We didn't know why. And then Edna managed to find in the research that it was been segregated at one point.
He said, get out. And we said, why? And he said, because you're women, women aren't allowed.
That's right.
And yeah, and but you were overshadowed really strongly by him.
Yeah.
And we were in a basement. We were in that basement. Do you remember sitting on like boxes? And it was really, that was quite a scary one, because he was we didn't know what he was going to do next. Obviously, headbutted Jackie, scratched me, telling us to get out. He was such an angry man. But as we were sending him over to the light, what my guide said to me is take him back to a time that he remembers where everything was fine, a happy memory. So I thought, okay, because obviously he was with Jackie. I was like, oh my God, I'm praying that this really works, because you've got the cameras on you, and I'm like really, so and it worked, because he was with his dog, and then we sort of said to him, well, who do you want to come forward for you? And he said his mum, and his mum came forward, and it was just such a happy, joyous reunion that you sort of forget that he was so angry in the first place. But he needed help as much as any of the spirits do, even though he was angry and aggressive towards us. We did what we were meant to do and sent him to the light, to his mother. And the energy seemed to just lift, didn't it, after that one? Because it was so dense. I just remember that.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, though, I loved the arrival on that one. It was the motorbike, the sidecar. Do you remember?
Yeah, I got to go in the sidecar. You were
I was on the bike, on the motorbike. So yeah, it was amazing.
It was really good though. It sticks out for a lot of different reasons, that episode. But yeah, the arrival was fabulous. Yeah,
it was. Yeah.
Wow, thank you. That's terrific. Now, Jackie, did you get a goose egg on your head? Did you get a little bump?
Do you know, it's so funny when spirit do things like that to you, because you can physically see things. I mean, I know Alison's been scratched in a few episodes, and you can actually see the wheel marks appearing. But with the headbutting, no. But he tried to strangle me as well in the basement.
That's right, he did.
Yeah. He was trying to stop me from talking, because he was getting angry and frustrated. And so his energy was like, you shut up, like this. And I had red marks around my throat with that. I mean, they soon fade. You don't really get hurt. Spirit look after us in that way. But you've got to get the story across. And sometimes that is the only way, is to allow them to overshadow enough to tell the story.
Yeah. I mean, from my point of view, when that happened, because obviously I didn't know what was happening, I just saw you doing that, and I was thinking, oh my God, she's got something stuck in her throat, or what's going on? Yeah. And then when you did that, I thought, that's what he's trying to do. And I was saying, stop it and get off. And so I mean, it was really, and they will put physical conditions on you, but it's in a different way than actually a human person doing that, if that makes sense.
It's
a very strong episode. Yeah.
I mean, even if somebody has passed, say, with a heart attack, or they've passed with in an accident and the injury, you're aware of how it feels for a split second, and then it's sort of you're okay again then, but you're aware of it. It is a way of them telling us, because of course they'll use every way they can to be able to speak to you, whether it's a physical or a mental image of something, or even like a sense of smell or something. And we've got to work with all of that and try and unravel it all to decide what's happening. But we're a damn good team, girl. That's all I can say.
We're a fab team.
You're here. You're here. Edna, is it tough to watch if something's physically happening to Jackie and Alison and not get up and try and help?
Yes. And at Churchill, that was early on. When Jackie had collapsed on the gravestone, I panicked and thought she really needed help. And one of the cameramen yelled at me to get out of the way, pushed me down in the van because Jackie was coming to the van at that point. And they were still continuing to film, and I didn't understand. And I was quite afraid. There were a few times, actually. There was one where it was kept on film of my running after Jackie and Alison.
Which one was that, Edna?
That was Norfolk.
Yeah.
Dear. You were down in the basement. And
Right. Yeah, I do remember that they kept it in, and I thought that was brilliant.
yes, they did keep it in. So there were a few times when, I knew, no, everything will be fine, but just reaction, yes.
Yeah. Well, it shows how real the show is. The fact that you were doing, you were running after us, and and that you were worried for us. That's a normal human reaction, isn't it?
That's right.
How real the show is, and it's as it is. We're not acting, we're being ourselves and just dealing with whatever we have to deal with in the moment.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Incredible. Absolutely incredible. Jackie, I've got one more.
Okay.
Okay. This is season 7, episode 12, Rub-a-Dub from Jessica. My all-time favorite. I do love them all, but that's her top one. So that took place in Bath, and season 7, episode 12.
Oh, that was a great episode, but at the same time, it was very scary for you, Alison, wasn't it? That one.
It was horrendous for me
Yeah.
because I was overshadowed by 3 spirits, very, very nasty, evil spirits, and that has to be the strongest one in the whole 2 seasons that I've been a part of, and actually made me question why I was doing what I was doing, and I'd never got to that point before. But it was the way that they made me feel. Afterwards, I love the cheers and a glass of wine or whatever it is we're having, but that one, it was just like, like a massive relief to be actually there, having that cheers together. And of course, in a bath, what else? If it's in Bath, what else are we going to be in other than a bathtub? Rub-a-dub-dub.
I have a question for all of you, just quickly. What you've done is extraordinary. And, Alison just talked about being overshadowed. Jackie talked about being overshadowed. Edna talked about watching that happen and wanting to help. Michael, of course, was overseeing everything. Did you ever come away and then, like regular life, you go, I can't believe I just burnt my dinner or picked up the wrong dry cleaning. Look what I just did. Look what I just watched. And I forgot milk at the grocery. Do you have a hard time equating doing that job and then you go back to regular everyday life and go, I can't believe this is how it works?
I personally don't. But I do have that problem just generally. I'd like to get an app, a GPS app, that can guide me to the store I've got to go to, and when I'm there, it tells me what I came there for. So, yeah, no, I've never been discombobulated, as it were, coming back from a show.
Oh, good, good. Anybody else?
Not for me, no, because you have to have, like any job, you've got to have a cut-off point. You've got to go, okay, this is why we ground ourselves and put the ground in protection, is because we've got a job to do, we go and we do it, and then we have to cut it off for the next one. So on the way home from doing a rescue, so we're in the car with Edna, more often than not, talking about what we've just done and how it came together and how okay we are. So we talk about it on the way home, but then all of a sudden it switches to, what should we have to eat?
Yes.
Should we order in, or should we just go? And it's sort
Yeah.
of, you automatically have to go to, because you've got to get the balance right in all things, otherwise it would, you know, take over, wouldn't it?
I
Yeah.
remember at the end of after a rescue and after we've done a show, often, especially if you were staying away somewhere, do you remember how we'd be dancing, we'd be
Yes.
Yeah.
partying a little bit, being
Yeah.
very silly?
Yes, definitely. We've got some photos to prove it as well, haven't we? Actually, it'd be good to share some of those. I bet the viewers would like to see them so that they can see that, okay, we take our work seriously and we do what we do on the show, but then we do have party time as well.
Yeah, we do.
That would be great. Okay, Jackie.
Okay, so we need to do a cheers, I believe.
Okay.
Excellent.
So I've got my cup of tea today.
Oh,
I'm letting the side down. I've got my cup of tea.
I've got a new mug called Save the Ocean.
Oh,
And look
that's
at that.
nice. Oh,
Oh,
no.
that's lovely.
Isn't
Yeah.
that nice?
Yeah.
So
Love it.
cheers.
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 Thanks to everyone, and thanks to everyone who wrote in.
Oh, thank you, Sandy.
Thanks, Andy. Cheers.
Thank you.
See you next time.
10.